So welcome everybody. I am so very grateful to celebrate the life and the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi and also St. Francis and St. Clare. We celebrate them all in the beginning of October. And Gandhi used to say that he didn't like the title Mahatma, which means great soul, because he didn't want everyone to get the impression that he was great. He said, I'm ordinary. And if anyone would have known me when I was a child, they would definitely think I'm ordinary. He was shy. He didn't do that well in school. He was terrified to speak in public. And he eked by becoming a lawyer with a pretty uneventful life until he was thrown off a train in South Africa. And in his autobiography, he talks about, my life is an experiment in truth, and God is truth for me, with a capital T. That saying that we always hear, be the action that you want to see in this world, is something that Gandhi wanted to live at every moment in his life. He said, true happiness is when you think and what you say and what you do are all in harmony. And if you're not happy about anything in your world or in society or in your family or in your neighborhood or in your work, be willing to change it first within yourself. And now Janine is going to start us off with a song to contemplate. It is a song that was written in 1982. It kind of came through John Denver when he was on a plane on his way to India to give his last respects to Swami Muktananda, his meditation master. Swami Muktananda died, and his funeral in Ganeshpuri, India was the same weekend that the Gandhi movie premiered. And John Denver just happened to be on the same plane as a lot of the actors, videographers, directors, and producers of the Gandhi movie going over to its premiere in Gandhi's birthday week in 1982. And when he looked out the window and the plane was landing and he saw the full moon, the first line of the song came to him. There's a full moon over India and Gandhi lives again. So please join me in welcoming the very talented musician, Janine Chimera.
Thank you, Judy. I just got chills when you just recited the first line of the song. It's such an amazing story. And I can't believe it's like 40 years old. And here we are. There's a full moon over India. Gandhi lives again. Who's to say you have to lose for someone else to win? In the eyes of all the people, the look is much the same. For the first is just the last one. When you play a deadly game, it's about time we realize it. We're all in this together. It's about time we find out it's all of us or none. It's about time we recognize it. The changes in the weather. It's about time. It's about changes, and it's about time. There's There's a light in the Vatican window for all the world to see. And a voice cries out in the wilderness. Sometimes he speaks for me. I suppose I love him most of all when he kneels to kiss the land. With his lips upon our mother's breast, he makes his strongest stand. It's about time we start to see it. The earth is our only home. It's about time we start to face it. We can't make it here all alone. It's about time we start to listen to the voices in the wind. It's about time, it's about changes, and it's about time. There's a woman who is my sister, I just don't know her name. And I know her home and family, because I know we feel the same. And it hurts me when she's hungry and when her children cry. I too am a mother, that little one is mine. It's about time we begin it, to turn the world around. It's about time we start to make it the dream we've always known. It's about time we start to live it, the family of man. It's about time, it's about changes, it's about time. It's about peace, it's about plenty, it's about time. It's about you and me together, and it's about time.
Thank you, Janine. That was magnificent. Our next guest today is a coach and the minister of Unity in South Atlanta. She is an inspiring and spirit-led speaker, and I'm so grateful to have you here with us, Reverend Coach Greta Counts.
Thank you, Reverend Judy. I am so happy to be here. It's such an honor to be a part of this celebration of living our truth. I am extremely grateful for the teachings of Gandhi. And I believe that today's greatest challenges are a matter of the heart. So let me share with you how I live my truth. Growing up in Atlanta, Georgia, I saw the appearance of racism in every direction I looked. In school, at church, around my neighborhood, I was one of 3 Blacks in an all-white school. And at restaurants in my grandmother's neighborhood, we were not allowed to eat in the local restaurants, but we could order and pay for our food at the back door of the restaurant, even though the cooks in the restaurant were Black. My father was called boy, or he was called the N-word instead of his name at his workplace, which made it hard for him to keep a job. And when I took my twin daughters waterfall hiking in 2021, just last year, we were run out of the North Georgia mountains by white supremacists who were openly carrying military-style weapons and who threatened us. My 30-year-old twin daughters were terrified, and so was I. As a child, I would often ask myself, what color am I? I'm not Black. I think as a kid, I'm more like paper sack brown. I'm more like brown sugar. And although my father's skin was darker than mine, he was not Black either. I never thought of my white friends as white, or my Asian friends as yellow, or my Native American friends as red. So to ease my mind as a kid and to soothe my own heart, I decided at a young age that I am the color of love. Whatever love is the color that I am. And so is everyone I meet, whether they behave that way or not. Living my truth as the tangible expression of love has brought me friendships and business connections with people of all races and nationalities, and it has brought me peace. And Gandhi was all about peace. Deep-seated inner peace is what love has brought to my world. So when I see others, regardless of their behavior, I only see love. This is the truth from which I live my life every single day. So whether someone calls me a derogatory name based on the color of my skin, which happened a couple of months ago, or if someone asks me my religion, which someone did several weeks ago, my answer is unequivocally love. Love, love, love. Love is my race. Love is my religion. Love is my gender. Love is my age. Love is the answer to every question that I am asked. I am the tangible expression of the Most High. I am the tangible expression of the Creator of the universe. I am the tangible expression of Jehovah God, and God is love. And so am I. I am the hands of the living God. I am the heart of the living God. I am love. I am loved. I am loving. I am lovable. And that is the truth from which I live my life. So I actively practice self-love every millisecond of every hour of every day. I am truly grateful to know that my willingness to practice self-love unconditionally opens me up to love others unconditionally. I specialize in love. Yes, love is the answer to every question. And so in every situation of your life, I invite you to join me. Let's ask ourselves, what would love do? Love is my decision, now and always. What about you? In the spirit of nonviolence, in the spirit of peace, let's agree to all be transformed by love. And may we be reminded of one of my favorite scriptures, which tells us this about love. And it's in 1 Corinthians, the 13th chapter. And it says, if I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have faith that can move mountains, but I do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, it always trusts, it always hopes, it always perseveres. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part and we prophesy in part. But when completeness comes, what is in part disappears. And when I was a kid, I talked like a kid and I thought like a kid and I reasoned like a kid. But now that I am an adult, I put away childhood behind me. Because now we see only the reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. And now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But of the greatest of these is love. I am complete. Amen. And so it is. And thank you.
Amen. And you are love, and you are loved. And as you were talking, I was thinking about this message that Howard Thurman gave. He was the first American to take a contingent of people over to meet Gandhi. He was born in 1899, and he was considered to be one of the greatest spiritual leaders of that time, the pastor of many of the civil rights leaders. And he said that love has no awareness of merit or demerit. It has no scale. Love loves. This is its nature. Gandhi said, ahimsa, do no harm. The force of living your deepest truth is all contained in the true word love. Now we're very fortunate to have a video from Nimesh Patel. Nimesh Patel, also called Nimo, became an Indian rock star, an Indian rapper. And he also made it really big on Wall Street after graduating from Wharton School of Business. But none of those things satisfied Nimo. And so he went back to his origins, and he lived at Gandhi's ashram in India. And he's there right now. And he produced this video from Gandhi's ashram just for us.
Hey everybody, really amazing to be with you all today on this celebration day of truth, of living our truth, of Gandhiji's birth anniversary. I'm here at the Gandhi Ashram. My name is Nimo. I'm here at the Gandhi Ashram where I've been staying over the past 12 years. This building here was Gandhi's home 100 years ago, exactly, where he stayed here from 1917 to 1930 before he left from these footsteps for the Salt March on March 10th, 1930. And it's been an amazing blessing to be here and be a part of this family and help continue Gandhi's legacy through service work, through serving those in need. We have our NGO that's located on this side of the ashram, and then over on this side of the ashram is the prayer ground, which I'm kind of pointing at, where Gandhi and the ashram community lived and prayed every morning and every evening of every day that they were here. And the special part of this ashram is that it was called the Satyhagraha ashram, as well as the Sabarmati ashram. Satyhagraha means the force of truth, and Sabarmati is the river, which I'll come show you guys here as well. And it was called the Gandhi ashram, still is called the Gandhi ashram. But the importance of this ashram was really the vows that Gandhiji lived by and made sure that everybody else that was committed to staying in this ashram lived by. And there are 11 vows. I'm just showing you the river here nearby. We are in the city of Ahmedabad, Gujarat, western state of India. And the vows that Gandhiji lived by in the ashram community, the main two were truth and nonviolence. And beyond that, there were many: manual labor, acceptance of all religions, removal of untouchability, simplicity of the palate, non-possession. So there were 11/12 different vows that you had to commit to in order to live here. And so just sending you all lots of love from this sacred space on planet Earth, and look forward to being with you all soon, sometime again. Love you all, and may Gandhi's spirit of truth and of nonviolence and of compassion permeate through your time together and through the world. Love you all. Here are the 11 vows. Truth, nonviolence, chastity, control of the palate, non-stealing, non-possession, self-sufficiency, fearlessness, removal of untouchability, believing in all religions or embracing all religions, tolerance. And this is Gandhiji's room where he used to stay. So we're just having a little inside edition here. And this was a little wheel of life. Zoom in here. Love, knowledge, food, and strength, how the ashram was ran based on those principles.
Thank you, Nimo, for that very unique and beautiful picture into the life that continues at the Gandhi Ashram today. Nimo teaches music and drama to street kids all around the ashram, and he's taken these children and their families, some of them, around the world 3 times for performances. And the way that Nimo lives is empty hands. You can Google empty hands music, and whenever he does one of these tours, it's on a completely free will offering basis. So you can order your ticket, but there's no charge, and then they just accept donations after they fill the house. And that is how Nimo lives. And that is how Gandhi lived, although people used to joke, it's taking me a whole lot of money to keep you in poverty, Gandhiji. But that's what friends are for. So our next guest always leaves us with profound wisdom and questions. He is an amazing teacher, an artist, martial artist, prolific author, and in every religious course I've ever taken, there has been one of his books required on Taoism, and I am so forever grateful that Deng Ming Dao is with us today. Please welcome him.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here, and in my short talk, I'd like to give you 3 different ideas. One is, what is natural truth? And second, what is the classical truth according to the Taoist? And third is, why does a martial artist believe in Gandhi's ideals? So for the Taoists, truth is not something that we are confused about. Truth is in the world around us. We undeniably belong to this world. And we don't see this world as being hostile wilderness, but actually the living matrix for our own lives. That's undeniable. At every moment, you are in constant exchange with this world. you breathe. In and out, you eat. You take the food in from the world, and the waste that you give back is magically transformed into new substances. We are constantly in exchange with this world. We belong to it. It belongs to us. And so for those who follow Tao, we look at nature as being the example and the template for truth. Is this a good world? And at first, it may seem startling to some people because the Taoists assert that heaven and earth, which is the poetic form for the world, has no personal interest in anybody. They treat all things as straw dogs, as the phrase goes. And some people are frightened by that image. But it means that nature treats all people and all things indifferently. But that is exactly the good thing. Because everything that you need is available in this world. All you need to do is go out and get it. It's not going to be given to you, but it's available. And because nature is disinterested, it means it's fair to everybody. There's nothing, according to the Taoists, that plays favorites. So we have a fair chance. And if you think about it, all the evil and injustices in this world are not natural, but are perpetrated by people. Think of all the evil labels that you can imagine. Genocide and murder and rape and so on. These are not committed by nature, they're committed by people. So if you want to look for natural truths, look at how nature behaves. Notice that nature is eternal. Notice that there are no limits to nature. It is infinite. We, on the other hand, are limited. We have a shorter lifespan. There's only so much we can do at the tips of our fingers and the ends of our feet. So we have to adapt. We look at what are infinite and eternal truths, and we have to apply them to ourselves. Now, among the many lessons that the Taoists give us in terms of truth, there's one that I would like to highlight today. And that is the phrase, the sage rescues everybody. It doesn't say some people. It doesn't say those who deserve it. And in fact, explicitly it says the sage saves the good person and the sage saves the not good person. That's everybody. We're either good or not good, but the sage doesn't discriminate. Everybody has to be saved. And do you see how the sage takes their template from nature? Because nature is fair and disinterested. It doesn't judge people. If there's a piece of fruit on the tree, anybody can take it. The sage doesn't judge people. The sage saves everybody and helps everybody. Now, I take my inspiration from natural truths and from the truths that the sages gave us. So why is it that I, as a martial artist, who's trained to fight, who still trains to this day, why do I believe in Gandhi's message? And I believe in it profoundly, and I have believed in it since I was a teenager and I first read his works. You cannot bomb your way to peace, and you cannot fight your way to peace. Only peace can engender peace. Only love can engender love. That's why the sage must help the good person and the not good person. I practice martial arts so I can't be threatened, so I can protect others if necessary. But I don't practice martial arts in order to bully other people or to get revenge. And revenge is such a tempting thing, isn't it? But we must put it aside. Because as long as we want revenge, there is no end to the hatred that we will continue to perpetuate. At some point, we have to say it ends with me. At some point, we have to say, I'm not going to let this evil go past me. At some point, we have to say, I'm going to make the sacrifice. And that takes strength. And that is what martial arts is about. It's not about beating up people. It's about having enough strength to control yourself and having enough strength to extend on behalf of other people. Other than that, we have to support peace and love and nonviolence, because only nonviolence can lead to more nonviolence. And obviously, only violence leads to more violence. We don't have any shortage of opportunities to practice this today. And it astonishes me that we still are seeing so much madness and foolishness, cruelty, brutality. And not only are we seeing the acts themselves, but we're seeing lies and deception and gaslighting around these things. Is the world getting worse, as some people think? No, we must never give up. We must never say, because the world is bad, I'm going to refuse to support what's right. That would be the ultimate capitulation. This is a good world. It's a fair world. Everything you get from the air you breathe, the food you eat, and the water you drink, and the place where you stand is given to you. All the badness in the world is what people perpetuate against other people and against the environment. Of course, we have to speak up when things are bad, but it doesn't follow that we should go to battle or war to try to conquer others. This is not a matter of conquering. It is a matter of embracing and love. And so on this special day, as we consider these ideas, I urge you all to remember that we belong to this world, this good world, this world that displays ample truths. And that the greatest truth is that we must rescue and save other people. And that we can only do that through peace and love. So thank you for having me today. I hope all of you remember the messages that you're going to hear during this presentation, and that we can join together to make this a truly better world. Thank you.
Thank you, Ming Dao, for being who you are and for sharing your wisdom with us. Gandhi said, fearlessness is the first requisite of spirituality. Cowards can never be moral. And probably cowards can never do what it is that martial artists do, and that is hold back the revenge, hold back that capacity to want to hurt those who you don't think are good. Gandhi also said, don't give up on humanity. Humanity is an ocean. A few dirty drops doesn't contaminate the whole sea. So I am now going to introduce you to Alexis Van Natta. I'm going to interview Alexis, and I think you will find that Alexis is an amazing, wise, and compassionate soul. She was born in Germany in 1935, and her father was taken to Dachau when she was just 3 years old. Alexis, do you want to tell us anything about your childhood? I know you were very young when your father was taken, and that your father was not a practicing Jew, but that he refused to follow Hitler's rule, and he was very outspoken.
Well, thank you, first of all. I feel very honored to be among all of these wonderful truth seekers. I'm just so blessed to be part of this circle of living our truth. Thank you. Yes, I was 3 years old when my father was taken away. Prior to that, I lived a very happy, serene childhood. And we went to live with my grandparents since they came and locked all the closets and doors, and just sent us out into the street. So the only safe place was with my grandparents. My father wound up in Dachau because he was a Jew, but they didn't know he was a Jew. He wasn't that well known, I guess, or something. But he wound there because he did not believe in Hitler's regime, and he was very outspoken. And so it was time to lock him up, I guess, to keep him quiet. But he lived through some pretty bad things in Dachau, and I don't know how much of this is shareable or anybody wants to know, but my father did get out of the concentration camp because when Hitler went to war on all of his fronts, he needed soldiers to fight in his war. So he went to those places where he had political prisoners locked up and said, if you come out and wear the uniform, and you've got a deal here now. So my father said, aha. He went out and said, yep, I'll put on the uniform. But before he even got to be part of the Hitler's army, he was spirited away to England through the underground, whatever. And from England, he came to America. He did spend time in England on the English radios broadcasting what you call propaganda, I guess, in those days, I don't know. And so from there, we happen to have a long relative in America who sponsored him to come from England to America. And that's how he came there. In the meantime, of course, the war broke out and we could not join him. And we were caught in all of that bombing and whatever. So that's the short of it. But there's
Alexis, your mom also had incredible faith. And last time we talked, you shared with me, or maybe one other time you shared with me, that your parents had a plan, to meet up, that they did not, keep the belief that it was over, and that your dad had this incredible tenacity, to do what he did, and your parents were able to meet up. But in the meantime, you were on trains and you would get off trains and people would have to choose you. Can you talk a little bit about the family that you worked with and your mother's belief that somebody great was going to adopt you?
Well, the whole point here is, as the war was going back and forth in Europe, wherever the war was going to go through some big city, they put the people on trains and took them out and away from that part of the fighting out into the country to drop so many people off at little farm villages to be adopted during the war. And so we were evacuated, that's the word, about 3 times during that entire 8 years that the war raged back and forth. And we were always very fortunate in being adopted, even though we were at the end of the road. In Bavaria, we were dropped off with my mother and my sister and I and my mother's maiden aunt. And at the end of the day, there wasn't anybody adopting us because they looked at these 2 little girls and this young woman and an old maid aunt. What can they do for us if we adopt them, because they expected help in their work. So they put us up in a hotel and said, we'll put you on the train and we'll drop you off at the next village. maybe you get lucky, right? And my mother was saying, no, we're not going anywhere. I know somebody's going to show up and adopt us before we leave here. My mother was a person of great faith. She almost had a vision into the future, and it was amazing. So sure enough, the next morning, farmers showed up and adopted us. And as it turns out, we were the best loved people to be adopted, because we pitched right in and helped in the fields, and even taught them a great deal about sanitation and things like that. So it was, we were part of their family after that. It was really wonderful. And that's the way it's been every place we went to be adopted during that era. And even after the war, I was sent out to a farm family to be nourished, because I was on my last leg out, not getting enough food or whatever, and so much. And then I've told the story of when my family would send this poor little waif out to beg door to door, something we don't, I think about in America, but over there that was quite common. And I would beg to door, and they would not only give me an egg or a potato or something to take home, but they would invite me in and feed me, which was, they probably thought, gee, you take all this food home, they won't feed you, the whole rest of them won't give you anything. So it was really nice to sit at a table as a young child and eat all those wonderful cooking foods, things. So I've been very lucky through my whole childhood. And that, I don't know what it is about my demeanor or anything in terms of how I was as a child, but everybody seemed to love me. They all wanted to adopt me. I don't know. It was just me. I'm just a happy little kid, I guess. One of the main things that made people happy was I was a performer. I was a child performer. I was always singing. People would always end their day with, oh, let's sit down and sing. Come on, sing. So I was this little kid that was doing the entertaining in the evening when everybody was done with their work, sitting around. So
Alexis, there's one story that I love you to tell, and it's your dad was an amazing, courageous person, but he also was a very sensitive man, because when he saw you after being at the concentration camp and, probably looking like a pretty scary guy, and you hadn't seen him since you were 3, he did something very sweet. Will you tell us that story?
Okay. I was at a farm place where I was adopted after the war, and we were coming back from a field, and I said, look, I think I saw my mother turning the corner. And when we got to that corner, there was my mother, my sister, and a strange army soldier with her. And I'm going, I think I was 3 years old, and I didn't remember my father, but there was my father. And so he came to pick us up to ship us out of Germany. And while we got on the train, I was at that point convinced it was my father, but he did the most amazing thing. He knew my love of music and singing, and he taught me the song, "You Are My Sunshine." I had no clue what those words were. I did not know any English, but he taught me that song, "You Are My Sunshine." And knowing now how all of that came together, and my trust in my father and all of that, it's that song has a special meaning for me, of course. And even talking to you about it brings moisture to my eyes. So yes, he was very sensitive, knowing after all those years that this child could be approached with music that meant something.
Thank you, Alexis. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us about how it is that you live your truth or speak your truth?
Yes, I would like to say that I look back at things in various phases of my life. When I'm around people and they look sad or they look scary, the one thing that always brings out the best in people is smile. I notice even today when I I'm a walker. I walk a lot. And when I pass people, I smile and I say hello, even though they look sad and they look like, oh my God, yes, somebody talk to me. I find that smiling at people in your worst condition, whatever, it just brings out the happiness in them. It seems to make them glow, and it feels so good. So over the years, I've thought about this in my old age. I've come to the conclusion that doctors have the right oath. Their oath is do no harm, and that's my philosophy. Do no harm. Smile, sing, be happy, engage people. I think we aren't engaging each other enough today in this world, where we need to come out of our shell and show them how happy things can be, that no matter how bad things get, there's sunshine at the other end of the tunnel, and it's don't give up. We all have that same thing. I love what Ming Dao had to say. It's beautiful, and I find that if I just keep on being happy and including all of these people in my circle, that this is the answer. Love is the answer.
You are the ultimate teacher of tolerance and inclusivity. I have seen it, how it doesn't matter if somebody has done something that is good, bad, or ugly. You are not going to judge. And that is just such a beautiful, beautiful quality.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alexis.
Thank
you are
you.
our sunshine.
Thank you.
And now Janine has a song for us. And before Janine's song, I just want to say that the literal translation of ahimsa, Alexis, in many religions, Jainism and in Buddhism and Hinduism, is do no harm. Gandhi took it further and said, love, that's what ahimsa was to him. But the literal translation from, if you Google it, is do no harm. Thank you.
One of the things that was really striking me in my personal life that helped me pull this song together is, well, currently I'm a caregiver and dealing with a lot of family relationships and dynamics and things, and it's been very challenging. So in the feelings of, something's unjust, and the grappling with, winning or losing and all those kinds of things, I am really learning how powerful giving up the fight, just like, Ming Dao had said, you can't fight your way to peace. And at some point you have to say, it ends with me. So I think that even if ever so briefly, like in these gatherings like this, or when a friend just mentions something, or like Judy, I listened to your talk at the UU last Sunday. Every time I hear a little bit of encouragement and reminder to let the fight go, and I it's like I breathe it in and I can experience what that truth is in me, even for a moment, and it gives me a plumb line to a place to pivot from. So I notice how quickly the dynamics in my relationships with what I'm dealing right now, how quickly those changes take place. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing that when I take control of me and I just do me, the ripple effect of that has been really powerful. So I want to share a song called Satyhagraha. And it was a word that I didn't really know this until recently, but Satya, the Sanskrit word for truth, simply put anyway, and Graha, holding firmly to that. So holding firmly to truth. Satyhagraha, 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 Satyhagraha. Satyhagraha, Satyhagraha, holding on to truth. You can't change what people say and do, or how they treat others. You can only do you. The truth of the matter is the voice within, rooted in love and compassion. Satyhagraha, 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 holding on to truth. Be the change you wish to see. What you value becomes your destiny. No need to win, no need to lose. In every moment we get to choose. Satyhagraha, 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 holding on to truth. One more time. Satyhagraha, 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 holding on to truth, holding on to truth.
But you are amazing, and that was a beautiful original song. That was fabulous. I know that Gandhi is dancing to hear
Thank you.
Satyhagraha sung so beautifully. Our very last speaker is a very special unity minister. Mark Hicks, Reverend Mark Hicks, is the founder and developer of TruthUnity.net, a place where many of us go to study, practice, and understand deeper the teachings of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, who founded Unity. And Truth Unity provides live classes and resource materials. And Reverend Mark Hicks just published a book about being a metaphysical Christian. And he is just a great voice of clarity in our movement. So please join me in welcoming the very Reverend Mark Hicks.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me? Does it sound good? Okay. All right. One of the great pleasures of doing what I do is I get to read a lot, a whole lot, almost a book a day, to be honest with you. And sometimes something comes up that is so unexpected and so profound, and it comes from a place that no one would think would be able to produce anything. It's just absolutely astonishing. And about 2 months ago, I was reading a magazine that had been published from 1940 to 1962 or so. And no one knows the magazine. No one knows the writer. No one knows the group of writers, unless you just happen to be a nerdy guy like me. He's a college professor from Minnesota. He wrote, and he was a football coach as well. And he wrote about the prayer that is always answered. And the topic is about those of us who wish our government and our history were better. We wish that our founding fathers had not only had ideals, but had lived up to them. And we wish that our memories were pure, our thoughts were good. And what he said is so profound. I'm just going to read it. Okay. He says, we see facts with our eyes, we see ideas with our minds, but we see ideals with our souls. Whatever we see with our souls is real and permanent and cannot be destroyed. He goes on, an idea is a mere figment of the brain, something that today is and tomorrow has passed away, has no roots, no reality. But we see an idea in all its entirety, in all its interrelations with all other ideas. And if we breathe into it the life of love, and behold, it ceases to be an idea and it becomes an ideal. The only difference between the two words is one letter, the letter L. And the letter L is a simple letter with the 12th letter in the alphabet. And when we add the L to idea, we get an ideal. It's a 5-letter word, and it seems a very insignificant change. But if I were a believer in the meaning of numbers, I would be inclined to say that 4 is a symbol of the beginning and a new thing and a new idea, a new era, but 5 is the symbol of its fulfillment. And whatever we try to explain it, the fact is that a person will not spend 2 minutes over an idea, while a person will fight for an ideal. We will let our life be governed by it, and if need be, we will die for an ideal. Ideas do not come into manifestation, while ideals always do. We see facts with our eyes, ideas with our minds, and our ideals with our souls. So when I was growing up, and throughout my adult life, I was taught that all people are created equal. And what I've learned from this is that statement is an idea. And while few people will fight for an idea, most ideas never become manifest. And the fact is, for a greater part of our life, we have seen that not all people have been created equal, have been treated equally. But with the addition of love, an idea becomes an ideal. Something that is not only manifest, but something which governs our life. And what I learned from this author, and this is the central point, is the best we can inherit from our culture, from our government, from our history, from our traditions, from the books we read, the best we can inherit from our church are good ideas. And that all people are created equal is a good idea. But when we apply the power of love, we are able to not only proclaim it, but we are able to transform an idea into an ideal. We're able to take that idea to a place where it is lifted up, where God can transform it and bring it to pass. And so what I've learned is each of us in every generation, in our living generation today, every generation has to go through the process of converting, transforming ideas to ideals. And it does no good to talk about the mistakes that were made long ago, because all we can pass on to others are our ideas. That's all anyone can receive. It's the addition of our love. Each generation must add that secret sauce to the idea in order to transform it into a place where it is an ideal. In our case, when we know that all people are one and all people are equal. So I'm grateful to this guy who shall remain nameless. I'll talk more about him maybe at another time. But he's an unknown, a very wise man, somebody who changed my life tremendously. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for sharing and for taking the time to be with us today, Mark. We really, really appreciate it. And now we're going to close the presentation part of our session just with a little closing prayer, a prayer of blessing for everyone, whether we can see you or not, a prayer of thanksgiving. May we all be blessed and strengthened today in truth. There's a Vedic prayer, may truth be our religion. May service be our way of worship. May the whole world be our family. And may meditation, contemplation, and gatherings like this where we attune with a higher consciousness be our way to bringing that into manifestation. May we, as Gandhi said, be the action we want to see in this world.